Students in our classes may have intensive behavioral needs. Here we will explore ways you can help to support them. You may work with students with autism or other disabilities who require a high level of behavioral supports. What is autism? Autism is a spectrum disorder with similar characteristics, including difficulties with communication, social interactions, repetitive behaviors or interests, unusual responses to stimuli. The impairments can range from mild to severe. Students with autism can have typical abilities in one area and require extensive support in other areas, and anywhere in between. All behaviors are a form of communication. Behaviors do not have to be negative. You can encourage communication across school environments by using things such as core communication boards or student-specific boards and visuals. Some students with autism may show unusual behavior patterns. Hypersensitivity may make you think about bright lights or loud noises. Some students enjoy sensory input from loud noises. Certain types of clothing may bother students and be uncomfortable. You may see them pulling strings or students trying to take off an article of clothing that bothers them. Aggression is often a form of communication. Self-injurious behavior can also be sensory seeking. Social fears may look like social anxiety or struggling with peer interactions. Non-compliant or non-responsive patterns may be due to receptive and expressive language being difficult for students with autism. Using concise phrases and pairing verbal cues with visuals is always helpful. Have you ever laughed at an awkward situation? Students laughing at you can be extremely frustrating and uncomfortable. However, oftentimes the laugh is more of a reaction than directed at you. It is important to not take behaviors and words personally. Some behavior examples that you may see: self-stimulatory behaviors, rocking, hand flapping, scripting, consume considerable amounts of time. Laughing for no apparent reason or signs of distress for no apparent reason. Sustained odd play. Obsessive attachment to toys. Apparent oversensitivity or undersensitivity to pain. Or no real fears at all. There are three main functions of behavior: to gain access, to avoid, or automatic reinforcers. Most common is to gain attention and to avoid work. Automatic reinforcers are the hardest to extinguish. Next, we will look at some research-based strategies that work when implemented with fidelity, which means doing it correctly and consistently. Building a positive rapport with students when they are not escalated is key. Try to spend time in the extensions programs or with the students outside of a crisis situation. Class rules should focus on behaviors you want to see. Keep rules short and to the point. State rules in positive, observable terms. Limit the number of rules to 4 to 5 total. Post the rules in the classroom. Reinforce students for following the rules. Having schedules posted and teaching them and reviewing them often is important. You may see class schedules or individual student schedules. Some general strategies that can benefit most students are countdown timers, verbal and visual prompts such as a first then, songs or transition sounds, and reinforcers. In the classroom environment, you may see floor visuals. You can label areas with visuals. And remember to practice, practice, practice. Take a look at these two classroom environments. What potential behaviors do you see that could occur? Exit, fire alarm, phone, teacher desk, blinds, computer, teacher materials, fridge, air purifier, paper towels, sink, soap, hand and dish soap, bathroom, additional sink, all are items that I can see that a student who is having negative behaviors may interact with in the wrong way. Being proactive with behaviors is so important. Identify high behavior areas such as the bathroom, exits or closets, sinks, or around teacher materials. Manage your space to redirect students. Put teacher areas in front of high behavior areas. Make your room more of a maze. Use natural and visual boundaries, and reinforce with visuals. For students who need frequent redirection, have that visual readily available in their environment. This could be on their table or desk, on staff lanyards, across the school setting in multiple classrooms, within digital lessons. If you have a student who is a runner, strategies can include stop signs on all exits that you would teach as well, bells on doors. Be sure to avoid fire hazards such as Velcro on doors or blocking exits. Sit students further away from exits when possible. Sometimes the best visual is you. Consider how and where you can place staff as additional visuals and boundaries. What tools do you need to set yourself up for success? Materials set up and easily accessible, a wireless keyboard and mouse potentially, and make sure that all TAs are trained for success as well. A few reminders of things to avoid: Velcro on doors, as these are a fire and safety hazard, strapping students down when not appropriately documented in the IEP, or during times not documented in the IEP. Behaviors can be a lot, so when you're in doubt, make sure just to request support from your school staff or EC department staff. A preference assessment is a structured method to identify highly preferred items or actions that can be used as reinforcers to keep motivation levels high when teaching individuals with autism or other special needs. Parents or students can complete a preference assessment. A visual preference assessment can be done as well. When using specific praise, you deliver specific feedback regarding observed student success, informing the student exactly what was done correctly and praising success. Deliver praise using a sincere tone of voice. Specific praise can be faded as student success maintains. The forced choice reinforcer assessment technique allows the teacher to discover what potential reinforcers a child actually prefers and even permits the instructor to rank those reinforcers in the order of a parent-student preference. A forced choice is when an individual is asked to pick which is preferred from a field of two choices. Teacher-controlled choices are options that a teacher is able to provide or sustain. Be clear with non-negotiable rules and praise students for following the rules. Create a code or visual for help or break time. Use a fidget to help screen out sensory distractions. Divert attention away from challenging behaviors. Don't forget to catch the student doing something good. Be sure you catch them 4 times doing something good for every 1 time of something not so good. You may hear about something called a positive behavior support plan that outlines the supports and strategies to be implemented for reducing problem behavior and for teaching positive skills designed to replace the behavior. The plan is developed once the team has an understanding of the function of the interfering behavior. Check with your teacher or the student's case manager to see if they have a behavior intervention plan and collaborate on how you can support. When you think about boundaries, there are physical or visual boundaries that we can create in our classrooms. Room dividers are great, but can be expensive. Alternative ways to create boundaries could be using colorful tape, rearranging furniture into a different placement, thinking about student needs. Who is a runner? Who likes to escape academic times? Do we have students who have wheelchairs or physical needs? Here are some examples you may see of boundaries in a classroom. All of these utilize typical classroom-based furniture. Here are some examples of visual boundaries with tape on the floor and on tables. Workstations are helpful to increase student independence for all ages. So why do we need independent workstations? To increase independence, to work on both academic and functional skills, and to help students generalize skills that they have already mastered. Here we see some examples of workstations from classrooms. They can look many different ways. When you're thinking about materials in independent workstations, where can you put those? You can use 3 drawers, bins, folders, or center areas. What do students do with the materials when they're done? A finished or all done bin, or a turn-in system that works for you and the students. Some student considerations to keep in mind: consider levels of prompting and adult facilitation needed by each student, errorless to independent, and what skills have they mastered. Think about their age, functional level, and physical needs. Content should be age appropriate. Printed materials versus digital materials versus hands-on tasks may look very different from one classroom to the next. So what activities can go in an independent workstation? Literally anything. Use what you have to the fullest. You can work on academic skills, functional skills. Think about how often are these materials being changed. Are you going to need to print them daily or weekly? Are they interactive, digital, put in task that can be reset daily to be used for 1 to 2 months at a time? Some types of independent workstation activities that we see in our extensions classrooms are interactive materials, put in task, errorless activities, matching task, sorting task, digital task, worksheets, or vocational and transition task. Interactive tasks that are reusable through means of dry erase, Velcro, clothespins, laminated activities, magnets, file folder games, and etc. are great for your time and for students to have some repetitive activities. Here there are some examples in the pictures on this slide. Put in tasks are work activities where the student is putting something inside another item. This helps to build confidence and endurance. Errorless learning sets students up for success and is a great option for students who need immediate positive feedback. Some examples could be file folder tasks, worksheets, or interactive task cards. Matching tasks teach the skill of finding something the same. It also builds vocabulary and comprehension skills. Some examples could be identical matching, non-identical matching, and matching pictures to words. Students identify and group items by common attributes. Some examples may be letters, numbers, shapes, colors, categories, games, or manipulatives and counters. Some digital tasks that you may see students utilize could be in ULS, Google Drive activities, Canvas, Epic Books, assignments, interactive PDFs, boom cards, or online games. You may see worksheets used that can be paper copies or laminated for repeated use. Some examples could be name practice, curriculum task, or work samples. Work task or job skills. These tasks help students transition from the classroom to more independent functioning in the outside world. Some examples may be laundry sorting, assembly lines, stocking practice, put-in task, or money practice. Always remember to just get back to the basics. Independence in these tasks take time and need to be explicitly taught. Teach the basics, sitting in an area for assigned time with fun activities. Introduce workstation tasks one at a time to build up work intervals. Fade teacher or staff supports in these skills. Pick your battles at first, completing the work versus the accuracy.